underreporting economic jurisdictions. Please help me welcome to the stage Allison Graham.
Thank you so much. And so then I realized after 1 year of going to 241 events, do not do that. That being busy and being profitable are two different things. And then as I continued along this process of teaching sales and marketing and everything, I started to realize that although I've been preaching relationships are what drive business, I think I might have been wrong. I started my career and I learned, quote, I used to just devour books, right? So it's no wonder that I ended up writing a few books. And I would devour them, and one of the quotes that stuck with me was Mark McCormack. And he said, he was a famous business person back in the 50s and 60s, and he said, all things being equal, people will do business with a friend. All things being unequal, people will still do business with a friend. And I don't think in today's 2016 marketplace that we can actually count on that. I don't think friendship and relationships are enough because here's the challenge. A relationship will never trump the fact that there's no budget, the fact that the client or the prospect doesn't have a problem for which you can provide the solution, or if they just don't have any need to use you. People aren't going to manufacture budgets. Or if they don't understand the value that you have to share, why are they going to do business with you? There are a lot of people who maybe like me. There might be a lot of people who don't. That's okay. But it doesn't mean everybody's going to do business with me. And I think for a long time, for me, it was like, okay, we just got to, rosy, everybody's got to know everybody. But the thing is, we're already busy. So how do we streamline our relationship development and understand exactly the benefits that a relationship will achieve? Now, mentors, mentees. Who has a mentee? Mentee means you're helping somebody else become better. Who has a mentor? Really, I'm surprised some of you don't have your hands up. Good for you. You've done it all on your own, eh? When we have challenges in our business, if we have strong relationships, we can pick up the phone and find a solution faster. If we don't have enough sales, I think where relationships are brilliant is they open doors to new clients. And that's the magic that we need to understand. A relationship is the springboard to a sale. And the reason, so the two things that happened. Number one, I lost a client that I had a great relationship with, and I was like, oh, well, that didn't make sense. And then the second thing was understanding that if I look at every contract that I've ever had, like probably 90% of them, they happened in 2 meetings. An introduction from somebody who I did have a relationship with, an initial sales meeting, a follow-up meeting to create a plan, and then sell it. Anybody else have that type of a sales cycle? Great. Does 2 meetings equal a relationship? No. The relationship comes after, when you start working with people and creating experiences together and customer service and all of that. That creates the relationship. And I think I spent 10 years preaching the fact that you had to create the relationship up front. When in actual fact, we can go from introduction to closed clients in a matter of 2 meetings easily. If we know exactly what problem we're solving for clients, we're able to articulate our value proposition, and if we're interacting with the right people who could become our next clients. 68% of their buying decision is already made, which means that everything that happens before you even create a relationship, all of your marketing, all of your LinkedIn profiles, your Google searches, all of that is having 68% impact on how fantastic you are at your sales meeting. That's new, because back in the day, you couldn't do that. But let's imagine, so that's an evolution in terms of business relationships as a whole. But let's talk about an individual relationship and how it actually evolves. and then figure out from a sales perspective where are our hopping off points where we can get to a sale. Let's imagine every client, every person who we know starts as unknown. Every person is a stranger before they become a friend. So everybody's unknown. This is deep stuff over here by Allison Graham. Yeah. Okay, we're going to go over here. Now, the goal is to find a loyal client who is a referral source. Could we all agree that that would be fantastic? If everybody who we know who becomes a prospect, who becomes a client, ultimately ends up becoming a loyal client and a referral source. Whew, bonus. See the gap in between is to create a mini bond. And what do I mean by a mini bond? A mini bond basically means this, that tomorrow when you get back to the office, you are going to remember who the person is, and you're going to have some sense of, I kind of liked that person and I'd like to know a little bit more about who he or she is. And I have some sense of understanding of their value proposition and the problem that they solve. That's what a mini bond would be. This is when we go to an event and we say hi to somebody and we get introduced and the person says, you have a really great conversation. And you go, you know what, you and I, we should grab coffee. Let's grab a drink. Let's play golf. That is bonus, you've created a mini bond. A mini bond, though, we still haven't gotten to the point where we're a loyal client or referral source, so we have to keep going. When we're communicating in this initial, early part of a relationship, the goal is to continue to move it forward. And there are really only 4 motivations for moving a relationship forward. We've decided that we need to have experiences together, because experiences are what drive a relationship. If you're in the trenches with someone and you're on a committee and you are, making something happen or creating something together, that's when the magic happens. That's when we create that bond, that if we don't see each other for another 5 years, but we had that experience together, we're never going to forget it. And I think in our business networking of 2016, people can be very superficial in how they network. Hi, how are you? Good, good, busy, busy, great to see you. We should do lunch. And then they never call for lunch. Or they just do coffee meetings, or they just do, something that's so mundane, when I would suggest figure out, what do you love to do? If you love to golf, some of you may, then go golf. But remember that if you golf, that's 6 to 7 hours with somebody who you're going to, invest that time, which is great. But if you love scotch and cigars, why not put together some sort of a scotch and cigar night for people in your network to develop better relationships, deeper relationships? Thinking outside of the box, taking a leadership role. If you love to ski, why not put together a ski day once a month during the winter months and create better experiences with the people in your network? Let's get outside of the box. I think people are done with rubber chicken dinners. I think that there's a reason for them and there's a place for them and we need to be at them and we need to support the community. But when it comes to you figuring out how am I going to drive more successful relationships so that I create a lot of loyalty and people who are really happy with my company and who are referral sources, we need to have better experiences with them. So looking at your calendar and figuring out, because sometimes what will happen with businesses, and I think we're going to talk about this in our fireside chat, is we go out and we business development. So we have no business, right, or we're low on our business and what we're doing, and then we go out and we're networking until all of a sudden we find a bunch of clients, and then we get a great big contract and woo, we coast. And as soon as we coast, we forget the fact that at one point we had no business. And so now we've got to go out and we just do this and it's like, no problem, but then all of a sudden the contract is over. Or like what happened to me, lose the contract, no fault of your own. And then our business dips down again. Anybody seen this happen in their own business? And then we scramble, go out, network, going to go find some clients. We get out there, and all of a sudden our revenue goes back up, and then we start to coast, and we don't do the networking any longer, and then we go through this when we don't put the sales in the pipeline on a consistent basis. And the challenge with this is we have no security in our business. It's too up and down, up and down, up and down. And instead, what is better to do is to bring your networking, do less networking, more strategically, so that we can do less, get more value by doing less work, and then we avoid the ups and downs and ups and downs. Something that I've adopted, and I encourage you to as well, is on my whiteboard in my office, I have 4 words, 4 phrases. Number 1 is happy clients. So when I start my day every day, I'm focused on what client needs to be served today to make them all happy. So lots of happy clients. Second thing is lots of sales. And so remembering and pulling that to the top of the list as opposed to the bottom of the list when it usually happens. So the business development, the networking is number 2 on the list. Clients always come first, but not to the negating of the actual sales efforts. Third is thoughtful marketing. And what I mean by that is actually being thoughtful and having a marketing plan, and I'll share with you how we can create one of those for you in a minute, but thoughtful marketing. And number 4 is admin. What I see time and time again with businesses, if it's not natural, is that we reverse this order. So we get into the office and we do all of our busy admin type of work and the things that just kind of minutiae of a business that has to go, right? And then what we do is we do all our marketing because it's fun to go on Twitter and we think we need to be out there or whatever. Then we maybe look after our clients, and then, oh darn, I had 8 hours to work, but I didn't get any sales done. And I was on the phone the other day, coming back from I guess over in the Windsor way, and I was talking with somebody, and she's like, every day I work like 8, 9 hours, and then I get ready to make sales, and I realize the day is over, and I can't do it. No time to do it. Because we have to put it in the top 2. It's what do we value? And if it's not something that comes naturally for you, we're going to put it at the bottom of the list. And so we need to put it at the top of the list to get rid of this roller coaster ride. And with that, when what I also find very helpful in terms of knowing who to sell to is we need at least 100 names on an active prospect list. Whether you are going to contact them all or not, it doesn't matter. But what I find, and maybe you can relate, is you sit down and you go, okay, I'm ready, I'm going to do some sales. And then we go on LinkedIn and try to figure out who we can, call today. And then we get sidetracked on, oh, look, I didn't even notice that message. And oh, my goodness, so many invitations. People, oh, do I know that person? Let me Google them. And the next thing you know, 2 hours has gone by, and by golly, we've not done any proactive selling. And so instead, if you spend that time up front getting crystal clear about who do you want to serve, who can you make the most impact when you go walk into a room and work with somebody? Who is that ideal prospect? Let's name it, let's own it, and if it includes the word everyone who, it's not a prime prospect target audience. It's too broad. We want to get really clear on that, and then we want to create a list of 100 people and just book that time and just say, I'm going to go through my LinkedIn list. What I do every 6 months is I print out LinkedIn. You can actually export all of your contacts, print it all out on pen and actual paper, that stuff that some people don't use anymore, and then you highlight all the names of people who are various prospects for you. And then when it comes time to do your 10 to 15 minutes every morning of sales activity, you just go right to that list, and you don't have to go online, you don't get distracted, and you don't get bogged down with the minutiae of your business. And if you do that even when you're busy serving clients, you will eliminate this rut, or this roller coaster ride that so many of us live. Hit on 3 things there, so I'm going to sort of expand. First of all, the conversation is, have you ever heard that you want to make a conversation all about them? Right? We've all been taught that. Who has ever been in a conversation that is all about them? And how exciting is that one? Not very exciting, but here's the challenge. Not only is it really, truly not that enjoyable, it's not building trust. Because when we don't give of ourselves, there's a little something that happens, the spidey senses in the other person's mind, that says, why are they not giving up any information about themselves, and why are they, because it can sometimes come off as you're like interrogating the person. So, do you have any kids? Oh, where do you work? What do you do? Da, 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 da. We want conversations to flow a little bit more naturally. So that's one thing. So I want to see like a little bit more back and forth, authentic giving of yourself. Here's the product or service I offer. Okay? This is the outcome that it comes. So let's say this is, in my world, so the product, like I do sales sequencing with people. The outcome that they have is we've identified bottlenecks, and they have a strategic plan to fix their marketing messages and tie it closer to sales. Okay? None of that am I ever going to talk about in a networking scenario. But we're going to take it a step further. So what is the problem that I solve by doing that? And the problem I solve are things like finding 70% time warps or sucks in the proposal process, which is one client that was what we found, so we fixed their proposal process. So when I'm having conversations out at a networking event, I'm looking for people to complain about all the problems I solve. So, oh, well, why are you staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning and so busy? Oh my God, I got to get proposals out. Well, why are you spending that much time on proposals? You must be doing this, wrong. I could probably help you with that. Why don't you give me a call and we can talk about it? When we know exactly the problems that we solve, we can have conversations that identify people who are having those problems, so then we can offer that we are the solution. The very beginning, but when we're strategic and we identify the problems we're having, naturally we can take conversations in a direction that they're going to reveal information that we can pick up on and then go from there. Specificity is your friend when it comes to referrals. Example, you have identified exactly who your prime prospect is. You have identified the exact problem to which you provide the solution. Now we want to call somebody up, we want to do our homework, create that list of 100 prime prospects who are going to be on our, I don't like to use the word target list because I feel that's very like us versus them philosophy when it's really about helping people and serving them if you believe in your product. Then we want to go through that list and we want to map out what is the path to the mini bond. How do I get in front of that person by making it a warm call versus a cold call? So who do I know who knows who, this person or whatever, but if we know who we're looking at, who are our prime prospect list, then we find on LinkedIn or through our own knowledge or going to events, who knows those people. Then we call somebody up and we say, would you be kind enough to make an introduction to, Darcy or Colton over at XYZ company? Because if we do that, we have proactively created a referral opportunity. We have put it on somebody and we've given them a task that requires 2 minutes for them to do, and it's a yes or no answer. If we just say, hey, if you ever know anybody who needs my services, let me know. There are some industries where absolutely that's going to happen. And when you get a champion of your company, and I know Libro has a lot of champions, like the owners at Limo, like we love Libro and we're going to send referrals all day long. But if you needed if Jason called me up and said, can you introduce me to this person because it's on the prime prospect list, I'm going to say yes. I don't know that he's looking to get to that person. And so we want to be uber specific, ask a question that gives them a yes or no, yes I will make the introduction, or no I will not, and it's less than 2 minutes of activity for them to do it. That's a proactive referral strategy as opposed to just hoping people are going to figure it out. And when somebody's in relationship limbo, basically that means you're neglecting them and your competitors have every ability to come in and swoop and take them out from under you because they're going to invest the time to continue to have the experiences with people. So part of our thoughtful marketing, that's third on our list, is doing quick phone call check-ins with people. We want to get in front of them once a quarter minimum, or depending on what kind of a sales cycle you have. We can talk about that offline, what your catchphrase is, but we need to, not just in terms of serving them as a client, but from a relationship development perspective, have plans in place for how often we're going to communicate with people who are in our network, and different ways that align with your interests. So it's natural, like, hey, I'm going to this event, do you want to come with me? Hey, I'm going to this game, do you want to come with me? Hey, I'd like to go to a patio after and enjoy the sunshine, do you want to go with me? We want to be sure that we're having enough of those interactions so that they don't feel like they're in limbo, because as soon as they're in limbo too long, what happens? They go back over here, and they go into our just we happen to know them category, and they're not part of our active network that's going to be a referral source. And do you ever notice, like, the really fun golf tournaments, there's always like one guy who's flipping a golf cart? And 95% of the time that person is a financial advisor. On the trust level, where does that put you? So we want to say everything we do, we want to know that when we're out in public, it's going to add to, subtract from, or reinforce the opinion that people have of you. That gut reaction. I was at Tim Hortons, and some of you may have heard the story over the years, but I was just at Tim Hortons at York and Talbot, and you know how it's just a little bit awkward in the morning, a lot of people coming in, different ways to come in. And it was one of these sunshiny days, and my music was just blaring, and I had the sunroof open, and I was car dancing. Anybody else a car dancer? Yeah. Just with the shoulders. And all of a sudden, this guy comes in, and he almost hits me. And I'm like, exactly, no problem, go ahead. He couldn't hear me anyway, it didn't matter what I was saying. And so I just let him in, and I go on about my day, and I don't think anything of it. Well, there I am, I'm at a formal event not long after, and I'm introduced to this guy, and he says, do you drive a? And he says, my car. And I said, yeah, I do, why? He goes, I'm the idiot who almost hit you the other morning. But you know what, you were so nice about it. Now, can you imagine if I would have done what so many people would do in that circumstance? As a business owner, you lose the right to go out in public and make a bad impression. Who's my 14 person? There has got to be. So the challenge is, and I literally, most times I get somebody who is over 12 for sure in an audience of times that their mind wandered, they wanted to interject or they add comment, and then normally the average is about 6 to 7. So I may not have explained it very well. But here's the thing, who ever had the most ticks at your table wins the book in the middle, and I'm going to bring your attention to the listening exercise, chapter number 52. I think, it might be 34. So you guys can decide whoever won that exercise. Here's the challenge, we do that, and we know it's a listening exercise, and we have 3 or 4 or 5 ticks. Extrapolate that into a 60-minute client meeting or a 10-minute conversation at a cocktail party. How many times are we not truly listening? A lot, because it adds up. Now is my favorite part of today. So just in terms of takeaway, I want you to all go through, if you can, your sales sequencing, figure out where your bottlenecks, identify how can we streamline this to be more profitable, to be more thoughtful, and to be more proactive about creating the relationships that will matter with the connectors who are going to lead us to our new prime prospects and introductions and open up doors to start that process, or to prime prospects who we can make a connection with, and then parlay that into the sales process and grow our business that way. But then, of course, when somebody becomes a client, we want them to become a referral source, and it goes round and round and round and round, and that's